Hey guys, good afternoon. It's good to see you again.
See you.
Finally having the opportunity to get together to talk about finished vehicle logistics and automotive in general. So obviously we all went to Huntington Beach, right, the last time, and we had the chance to reconnect with everybody, which I personally think it was great. But how do you guys felt? I mean, what is your take on it?
You know, for me personally, it was my first logistics conference for finished vehicle, and having gone to some other conferences in my career, you know, I really say the openness and the collaboration for this conference, especially coming out of COVID, right? You know, we had everybody that was in attendance that probably couldn't be maybe the year previous, but for me personally, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very collaborative.
I thought it was great as well. I mean, I saw a lot of friends and co-workers, past co-workers, and partners at Huntington Beach. So for me, it was just a good refresh, restart of getting back to the normalcy.
I would say, you know, for me, the most interesting part was just seeing the looks on people's faces as we're all facing these challenges, and how in the moment everyone is living right now in this space because of the very real challenges everyone is feeling between semiconductor, COVID, plant challenges, and everything else. And it felt very much down to business in a lot of ways, so it was great.
As we were saying, right, the last time we met in November, it was a cold start, where now in June, it was so much more open and collaborative. So great difference, I think.
In terms of specific sessions, I mean, for me, the big one was the driver shortage session that was led by a large asset-based carrier. You know, everyone in the industry knows and respects. He started off by posing very simple questions to the room, but no one really was willing to come out and say what it's actually going to take, or felt really confident as to what would drive more people to take up the role of auto hauling.
Yeah, I think the interaction specifically in that session was pretty dynamic. I mean, it was challenging. I guess everybody was challenging each other's opinion, but constructively.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're all facing the same problem together.
The industry at large is getting more comfortable with recognizing that we have to depend on each other and relate on each other. No single service provider can come up with a single solution that will fix the industry, fix distribution, and really be able to handle all the volume, whether it's low volume now, inconsistent one now, or big volumes tomorrow, hopefully. But it is really this willingness to utilize your services through your network, with your technology, and just be able to put it all together to really benefit the industry at large. I think that change is a monumental one right now.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the OEMs at this point, with the pressures of the shortages and the supply chain constraints as a whole, are really starting to look at different scenarios and they're opening their mind up a little bit to trying different things, do things in a different way than they traditionally have in the past.
I absolutely think the industry is looking for creative ways to solve these problems. And I think through standardization on some of the operational aspects of the business, we can achieve fixing some of the volatility issues, or the way we approach contracts even, or the way we work together with port processors and vehicle processing companies, and the way we can streamline through technology everybody from start to finish to be all on the same page and really become that tight-knit supply chain that's being able to react quickly to changes in volume and delivery distributions, because the way consumers' buying habits are changing the way vehicles are shipped and delivered, and the network as a whole that it runs through. So, you know, having providers that are able to adapt to that, but not only adapt to that, share what best practices are to support it, I believe is really important in what we were talking about.
I walked away from the conference thinking to myself, that old playbook that everyone has been looking back to run plays, they might as well throw it out the window, because the variability in terms of what plants are going to produce, what distribution channels they're going to have to tap into, all of that is morphing before everyone's very eyes. And the reality is, if those who don't collaborate and adapt, those are the folks that are going to be left behind as the EV revolution takes over, as consumer tastes or expectations change. And I've talked about often that the OEM is closer to the customer than they've ever been, and And I think there's now a realization that is our new reality.
Right? You basically want your car, you get it online, even if it's directly from the OEM, and you want it at your door with the best service, with the best quality that you can imagine.
As you guys know, we've partnered with Automotive Logistics to do a survey in Q1. It also went out in Q2, and we have the results in front of us, and they're pretty compelling. Definitely some themes persist. Some things have definitely changed since the Q1 survey. Very compelling information that I think will power how we think about what the rest of the year will look like. And we'll have another survey coming.
One of the things that the industry is also facing, as we're seeing in the surveys that were sent out, besides the fuel costs, right? There's some other things that are happening. We have the financial and the debt that carriers or companies are starting to develop. They have a bubble right now. The fleet and the equipment management and the maintenance of that equipment, from sourcing the parts to keep it maintained on the road, to the cost of getting it and having to wait for it. And also the volumes still spike and the volatility. If I get this piece of equipment on the road, when I do, is there going to be product to move? Right. So I got to keep my assets and moving. So who can help me? Who can help me keep our assets on the road?
Right. I have plans to grow my fleet as a carrier, but I need to know I have strong partnerships to be able to fill those trucks once I do get my assets. So we heard a lot of that. I think being diversified is very important, obviously, in your customer base to lower some of those risks, but also being partnered, with a provider that has a diverse book of opportunity is something that, maybe as a non-asset-based provider, carriers can look at a company like RPM maybe a little differently as a longer-term partnership to allow them exposure to more opportunities to help hedge against those risks.
Well, if you think about it, Tom, the business model, it's extremely flexible in nature, right? You are able to capture more volume because then you can actually expand the network. You actually can welcome more carriers and bring more solutions to the shippers, in this case, the OEM.
I couldn't agree more. And I think even though the different carriers, we also welcome the different type of equipment they have, right? So getting product to the Midwest or the upper Midwest and South Dakota, Iowa, utilizing 2-3 car wedges, we can just increase to get efficiencies to lower the OTD, order to delivery for the OEMs, and get the product to the dealer customer.
Quality of process through training, through technology, through relationships. Ultimately, we want to be able to bring more capacity to the market, but to your point, responsibly, doing things the right way, up to the right standards, and ultimately passing those requirements down to a carrier base that traditionally hasn't been engaged in that piece of business is very important as vehicles are, getting larger and heavier, and driver shortages just exacerbating the capacity challenges.
I think it even includes to the degree of having on-site support to support the quality, making sure the equipment is proper. We're putting the right product on the right trailer at the right time. And that's just having people on site at our contracted providers will just enhance that quality and make it a better product.
I've talked about prescriptive procurement, and I think that is another theme that continues we're watching some adapt and change and engage providers around how do I take parts of my network and best engage you and leverage your strengths to support my network.
At the end of the day, it comes down to the information you can gather, right, from the OEMs and then across the supply chain and the communication that happens. So us as a non-asset, if we're communicating with the ports, if we're communicating and build relationships with the ocean providers, what's coming in, what are you having problems with? This is where we're having problems. You can start to put plans together to ease the supply chain stress, but it's going to take everybody in the supply chain to work together.
Yeah, and engaging hundreds and thousands of carriers a day on static contracts going across swaths of areas of the nation, we ultimately see the risk points within a network.
It's interesting what you're saying, Tom, because you're talking about a very refined and really highly effective business model applied to this distribution. But to me, it's still very interesting that when we get to talk about non-asset-based organizations, immediately the mindset goes to, cheap service providers that will just put things together and find the easiest solution and ship it at their, just to benefit their pockets, right? And I feel that that business model has evolved too tremendously, like in our case, where we're tackling all what you described. We're tackling network capacity planning. We're tackling yard management planning. We're tackling our ability to connect through technology with every system that exists and it's available, and offering visibility, like real visibility and on-time visibility to our customers.
All these folks that are going to be in that room are going to be talking about their own, parts challenges or what the OEs are communicating to them in some form or fashion. I think ultimately when shipping finished vehicles, we're kind of the end of the line, and this gives us a peek upstream as to what's going to come and gives us a bit more of that pipeline visibility as to where the industry is going to go.
Absolutely. I'm excited about getting back in the room with the industry experts, with the people that really knows about this business, to understand since the last time in June, now meeting again, how much we have changed, how much we have evolved. I think it's fascinating. Well, gentlemen, what a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for sharing your insights. I would like to just share my last thought. Although it may sound a little like a political message, it is not. This is just the way we believe in RPM things should be treated. We all should keep embracing change. Change is the one and only constant that we will keep observing. At the better and the more comfortable we get dealing with it, to deal with this, I think the more chances we have to really make a dent in the industry.